Hello, this activity is to help you to understand how to find the formula of a hydrate from the lab that we did. And you're going to write all of this information in your lab write-up book because this will count as your lab write-up if you were absent. But if you were in class, this should help you with that write-up. So put all of your answers in the composition notebook, please. We were first looking at copper 2 sulfate and some amount of water in that copper 2 sulfate crystal structure. So the first thing we're going to do is locate an evaporating dish. The evaporating dish is a dish that you can heat and it does not crack. It's made out of porcelain. Using weighing paper, we're going to tare the balance to eliminate calibration errors. So you see before, the paper on the balance was 0.45, and then we press the button that says tare the balance, and it puts it at 0.00 grams. Now we're able to place the evaporating dish on the balance, and we can record the mass of the dish. Now you want to record the mass of the dish because later on when you get your anhydrate, you're going to need to subtract the mass of the dish from that amount when you weigh it. So make sure you write that down. But after you've written down 44.20 for the mass of the evaporating dish, you are going to zero the balance. Now you measure out your 5 to 8 grams of copper 2 sulfate, and after you've measured it out and recorded the weight, you take the evaporating dish and put it on a hot plate. Allow it to heat for a good 20 minutes. And while it's heating, it's going to start turning white because the water is leaving the hydrate. After you're sure that it's heated enough, you use insulated or silicone gloves and take it off the hot plate and put it on a wire gauze. So please be very careful because it's very hot. Porcelain is lava hot. So you put it on the wire gauze. The reason you put it on the wire gauze is if you put it directly on the table, the porcelain dish will crack. Next, we're going to calculate the percent of the water in the hydrate. Remember, percent means part over whole. So the copper 2 sulfate originally weighed 5.93 grams. After we take the cooled porcelain dish, which is 48.04 grams, and subtract the weight of the porcelain dish when it was empty. So we subtract the 44.20 and we come up with a mass of 3.84 for the anhydrate. That means the substance in the porcelain dish, the substance that's left behind, is 3.84. The way we find the mass of the water, we take the original, subtract out the 3.84 grams, and we find that the water weighs 2.09 grams. Because that's how much lighter it is. So that was the water going into the air. So the percentage of water is part over whole. The part is 2.09 grams and the entire amount is 5.93. So that gives us 35.2%. We do the same thing for the copper 2 sulfate. We take the 3.84, divide it by the 5.93, and we calculate a 64.8% of that original was the copper 2 sulfate anhydrate. Now, if we've done things correctly, these two numbers should add up to be 100%, which they do. So we know that we've not lost any material. This actually worked out very well. So now the next step is to calculate the formula of the hydrate. We know that the water weighs 2.09 grams, and if we divide it by the molar mass of water, we will have the number of moles or the amount of water in it, which is 0.116. We'll take the anhydrate, the copper sulfate. It was originally 3.84. Divide it by 160. How do we get 160? We take copper's mass, add it to sulfur, and add it to 4 times 16 of oxygen. So it gives us a total of 160. When we divide it, it's 0.024. Well, this is the ratio, but it's not a whole number ratio, so it really doesn't help us. So the way we turn a fractional ratio into a whole number ratio is we divide it by the smallest number. So we take the 0.024 and divide it by 0.024 and we get 1. We do the same for the 0.116. We divide it by the 0.024 and we get 4.8. This can be rounded to the number 5. So the formula for the hydrate that we had is CuSO4.5H2O because there are 5 waters for every 1 copper sulfate. And the name would be copper 2 sulfate pentahydrate. Now this C should not be capitalized, but my presentation kept capitalizing it on me. So again, the formula is CuSO4.5H2O, and the name is copper 2 sulfate pentahydrate. You're going to use your numbers to calculate this, and but this is what it should be in the end. Now let's try the magnesium sulfate, and that's some number H2O. We're going to start with that clean evaporating dish again, and we're going to tare the balance. After tearing the balance and collecting the mass of the evaporating dish, we're going to add the magnesium sulfate, and we see that it weighs 5.42. We're going to then put it on the hot plate and heat it for a good 20 minutes. After the 20 minutes, take it off the hot plate and allow it to cool completely on a wire gauze. Then we're going to mass the anhydrate. How do we mass the anhydrate? Well, we take the mass of it and then we subtract the mass of the dish. Question number 1, excuse me. The anhydrate plus the dish is 48.13. Find the mass of the anhydrate if the dish is 45.35 grams. Question number 2, calculate the percent water and percent anhydrate. And question number 3, calculate the formula in the name. I will be grading your lab books, so make sure that you feel like you know what you're doing. If you don't, come and see me. And this should be easy, and it gets easier with practice. So if you have any questions, please be sure to stop by my room and ask me. Have a great evening. See you in class.